Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to go over the trades that we took today as well as the game plan going into tomorrow. So, as you guys can see, I've been talking about this monthly chart here on SPY. It's been bullish, and this is kind of why I favored the upside recently, just because if you look here, monthly contracts, 10 SMA, green, 50 SMA, blue, 10's above the 50. These have been crossed for a very long time, and you can see every dip down in this 50 SMA gets bought up. Even right here, we did close below, but there's still a big gap between the 10 SMA and the 50, and the next day we end up gapping up, and we bounced right at the 50, bounced out the 50, bounced out the 50, and we finally saw some continuation over the last couple days, and right now, the charts just look bullish. I mean, there's nothing about the charts that are bearish. If we flip to the weeklies now, and this gauges the weekly trend on the 30-minute, we recrossed, so market's bullish, and we're focused on the upside. The 1 hour crossed. The 2 hour we're right at. This is a pretty big spot because 2 hour 50 is sloped down quite a bit, and then we do have this 4 hour 50 which is up in here. These are actually the wrong. Are these the wrong contracts? I think we have the 640s if I'm not wrong. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be the 640s. So let me switch to that real quick. So it's the 640s actually, and if we go back to the 2 hour, we're starting to break above there, and then the 4 hour starting to break above, and then we are at the daily 50, I believe. So right now I really wouldn't consider this too much of a bearish chart. Like, I wouldn't go shorting this just because of that monthly chart. On the bigger picture, we're overall bullish, so I'm not going to be shorting this 50 SMA tap because one, 50 is pretty level, and two, monthly chart is more bullish. So this is one of those circumstances where I'm not going to fade the higher time frames, and I'm just going to let it play out and see what happens. So today there was actually a pretty clean 0-day cross that happened, so you could have taken this. I saw it too late to enter. So if we go here, pretty simple. We knew the market was flipping bullish, and what do we get right here? 0 DT cross. So you can see right off open. I wouldn't trade the first 20 minutes, 15-20 minutes, just because it's too volatile. And we finally got a crossover here. You can see it was very clean. You can see 10 going above the 50. 50 SMA is the blue line. Again, this 50 SMA has to be level or curling up when you take an entry point. So if you zoom in here, the 50 probably didn't curl up until this candle right here. So once we got this candle at 10:45, you were good to go long. Contracts are at 130 on that candle closure, and you could just trail the 10 SMA. We lost the 10 SMA all the way up in here, and the contracts were at 2.68. They peaked at 305 from that run. I mean, that's a very, very clean trade. Again, we're only focused on the long side when we are in a bullish market. That 30-minute chart tells us the trend. And since we got this cross, this is an intraday trade you could take. I didn't see it in time. I saw it when it was all the way up in here on this candle at like 1.6, I believe. So it was a little late for me to get in, but I was too busy playing some other trades that I'm going to go over. But again, it's very simple. This is your best and most ideal trade in a bullish market, is that 0 DT cross on the call side on the 5-minute chart. So very simple trade. You take the entry here on this candle closure and stop loss below the 50, and I mean that's pretty good risk on that. 1.3, the 50's at, you probably stop out around 1. I mean that's not too bad of a risk to reward there, and then you can see what happens. You get a few 100%. So that's how you would have played SPY today. Outlook on SPY is still pretty bullish. I would definitely be a lot more bullish once we do get this chart, or I switched out of it, but if we get that daily chart and 4 hour chart to cross on the weeklies for Friday on SPY, then that'll be even more bullish. So we're going to see how that plays out, but for now, I mean, I can't really be bearish. There's really nothing telling me that we're going to go lower, so until then, focus on the long side. Obviously things could change, but for now, that's kind of what I'm looking at and how I'm reading SPY. And some setups that we took today. Number one, Google. Did I go over this in yesterday's video? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. So it's very, very simple. Initially Google crossed on Friday. We got a little move up, and I told you guys this chart was looking really good. I was looking for a dip buy on this. I went over this in the video, and we finally got this dip to the 50. I started scaling in, I think around like 1.7, and then bought more at the 50, and you can see what happened. I mean, it ended up chopping a lot in a close. We didn't get a stop. We didn't close below the 50, so I continued to hold this, and right off of open today, contracts absolutely went vertical, and we got an immediate move all the way up to 285. I sold these I trimmed half at 50%, and on this pullback was questionable. I mean, I stopped out at break even, and then we got such a good 50 dip right here to the 50, and you could have bought that. I personally didn't, but I faded this. I saw it sitting right at the 50, and I didn't take an entry on it just because I already played it. But Yeah, I mean, if you bought the 50 dip, 150 all the way up to 274, Google is a really, really bullish looking chart. I mean, I do not see this thing dumping. If anything, this is going to absolutely fly even higher, just because if we look on the higher time frames, look at the charts. 1 hour chart, what do we see? It's crossed. If we go to the 2 hour, crossed. If we go to the 4 hour, this is where it starts getting pretty significant. So if we go to the 4 hour, we just got the 4 hour chart to cross. And if we go to the daily chart, what do we see? We see this daily chart beginning to cross. This Google chart is super, super bullish. When you get all these when you get the higher time frames crossing, that's where we see those significant moves. So this 10 estimate goes above the 50 here tomorrow. It's, over the next couple of days, I expect Google to go higher because the 4 hour chart and the daily chart are just crossing. And even though I did sell it, I still think this is going to go higher. Maybe we'll get another entry point to take, and we could ride it higher. But again, still love Google for higher. Another one that I do like, again, is Apple. Entered this one today. Currently, let's see, if we look here, what chart is this? This is the monthly. So again, I've been going over this chart, been saying how good this is looking. You can see the monthly chart is just crossing on the daily chart for the monthly. So this is very, very bullish. Obviously, this could pull back a little bit before we get a move higher. That's why I end up grabbing 2 weeks out expiration. So not this week's, grab next week's. And yeah, I'm swinging this, post in the Discord. We're going to see how this plays out. But yeah, Apple's a really, really good looking chart. Obviously, we get some sort of dip. That'd be a great time to add. But yeah, I really love Apple. Daily chart crossing, same kind of scenario for all the other trades. So yeah, Apple, I definitely expect this to move higher. Even if we do get a dip, I still favor this ripping even higher over the next couple weeks, just because of how bullish this chart looks. 10 SMA crossing above the 50, 50's curling up, looks great. And let's see what else. Microsoft is another really good one. So if we go here on is this the weeklies? Yeah, this is the weekly. So 30-minute just crossed today on Microsoft. Again, the weekly chart, this is where you could get the entries from. So the 10 SMA going above the 50, that's your entry point. This 50 is a little sketchy right now. It's not really curling up that hard. I guess it's pointing up a little bit. But if we get a dip on it, that'd be great, because then your risk to reward's even better. If we got some sort of dip down here to the 50, that'd be great. Or you could just grab some as it crossed, which it crossed, I think, right here around like 618. And then if it dips, then you could, add a little bit more. But again, I'm not really too worried about these higher time frame 50s, because they're all pretty flat. I mean, this 4 hour 50 I really don't care about, because it's pretty flat. And then when we look at the higher time frames, the daily chart is still crossed. We did break below it, but this isn't really telling me too much at the moment. Once we get back above that 10 SMA, I would really like this for higher. And then we go to the monthly chart. The monthly chart is what's selling this trade. I mean, this looks so good. If we go here, it's actually supposed to be the 530s. I think I had the wrong chart pulled up, but if we look here, I mean, the daily chart and the monthlies look so good. You could see this 50 SMA is sloped up super, super, super hard. That means it's very, very strong support. And again, this is where there's two trade opportunities. You either buy when we get near the 50, or you wait for the 30-minute chart to cross on the weeklies, which I just went over. The 30-minute chart crossed. Actually, let me go back to this chart, because I think I had the wrong contracts pulled up. I think it's the 530s, not the 525s. So if we go back to Microsoft and pull up the 530s real quick, just gotta edit this strike price, because these are wrong contracts. What do these look like right now? Actually, that chart looks a lot worse on the daily. Won't lie. What do the 30-minute look like? Okay, 30-minute is the 50 SMA is still pointing down a little bit. I would want to see this 50 curl tomorrow to maybe take an entry, but again, still a decent looking setup. We would need pretty much this thing to rip tomorrow, because if it doesn't, it's probably gonna go negative and dump. But yeah, I mean, Microsoft, solid looking setup, just needs to rip higher to look a little bit better on the daily chart. But yeah, Microsoft not too bad. APP went over this, I think, like Friday. I haven't really looked at it. Oh man, this chart does look really good. This chart looks so good. I'm pretty sure the contracts are pretty expensive though. So yeah, APP, this is a really good looking setup. It's the same concept as Apple. 10 going above the 50. It's pretty much consolidating the last 2 days, because the SMAs need to catch up, and eventually this thing might dip to the 10, the 50, and then go higher, or it's just gonna go higher. So there's really no telling which one's going to happen. So that's why, if anything, you just scale in on the dips that it provides, and then you just ride it higher. But APP is a really good looking setup, and I'm not sure what the weeklies look like. I'm going to have to pull those up after this video. But yeah, it just very, very good looking setup on the higher time frames. I think we already went over Apple, Google, and then we took Intel today. Intel was a really good setup. I mean, We caught 70% on it today. I'm still swinging some into tomorrow. So if we go to the weeklies here, I'm going to show you guys what I saw. So pretty simple. 30-minute cross on this chart ended up playing out perfectly. I think I entered these, I forget exactly where. I think originally contracts were around like 0.60 is where we took the entries yesterday. I forget the exact timing, but I ended up grabbing a little bit more down in this dip. This candle ended up wicking down a little bit, and then I think the contracts were around like 0.50 to 0.55 when I added some more. I just really liked how the higher time frames were shaping up. I mean, when you look at this chart, the 1 hour is crossing, 2 hours beginning to cross. This thing looks really good for higher, and I'd love to see this pump into this 4 hour 50 SMA right up in here, because that's probably where we'll see some resistance, if anything. If there is resistance, obviously we could break it, but this is where we would start to see some sort of reaction, I'd say, because we had the 4 hour there, and then the daily's also up at like 180 a piece. So I really like Intel. We're up 70% right now. I'll show you guys the screenshot just so you can kind of have it for reference that, you know, I did take this. So if we look here, I think I had 7. Yeah, this is the last one I posted in the Discord, but I think it was up at like 75% at one point. But yeah, here it is, 70% on the 21.5 calls. Very nice. Holding this into tomorrow. Think it goes higher just because every time frame is pretty much crossing. The 2 hour just crossed, and then obviously I'm going to ride this up into this 4 hour 50 SMA. So yeah, I was eyeing this one up. It looked really good. Same thing with Google. I mean, I gave all these in the Discord. If you guys want to follow along with the trades, that's the place to be. And obviously, if you want to learn, like, learning is the most important thing. Like the trades that, you know, everyone is so focused on, like the alerts, like when it comes to a Discord, but you know, you got to learn how to do this yourself. You know, I'm not going to be here forever to drop plays in the Discord. So, you know, I stress more so learning. And if you ask questions in the Discord, then, you know, I know that you're like wanting to learn. Like if you're just following the alerts, I mean, you're kind of hurting yourself. You're not really gaining anything from doing that because you don't really know the thesis behind it. Maybe you do, maybe you don't, but you know, you got to understand why we're taking these trades and why, you know, certain setups are the ones that take. Because Intel, again, it was a beauty. 10 SMAs crossing the 50 on the weeklies. Every time frame starting to cross. The 1 hour and the 30-minute looked really good. The 2 hour was a little sketchy. It finally shaped up towards the end of the day, but you know, the 2 hour, like, I'm not really too concerned about like a 2 hour 50 SMA. You know, I'm not really. It's not that much of a concern to me. It's more so the 4 hour and the daily charts is what the like big resistance areas come from. But yeah, Intel 70%, Google. We had like, I think, got up to 60%, and we're currently in Apple, so that's currently, you know, in progress. We're gonna have to see how that goes, but solid week so far in the Discord. Again, if you guys want to learn, join the Discord down below. But that's pretty much all I got. If you guys enjoyed, drop a sub, and I'm out. Peace.